The Rangers pick up a new pitcher in Michael Lorenzen, and this is interesting for a variety of reasons. First of all, it's a one-year, $4.5 million deal with possible bonuses and incentives that could take it up to $7 million. The word that we're hearing is he is being brought in as a starter because he is somebody who can... I know he's been mostly a starter the last 2 years, right, but before that, he has a very extensive background in relief pitching after his rookie season. We're being told he's being brought in as a starter, but a couple of questions here. How quickly can he be ready? And we could talk about the ramp up process. Do you like this move? And we were just told Cody Bradford has earned his spot in the rotation, and we were told that adamantly. And now it seems like, yeah, for a second,
right?
And then he's probably going to get bumped off.
Do you think Bradford's the guy getting bumped in this situation? Definitely. Huh? It couldn't be anybody else. Or
I think if everybody's healthy, I think it's Bradford because I think he was your fifth guy. You could make a decision to say Heaney can be so valuable as a kind of left-handed slinger out of the pen, but I do think Bradford is the guy that if Lorenzen is healthy in a week or two, and I shouldn't say a week or two into the season, I think then Bradford could be the one to get bumped.
Kevin, yesterday we had Jared on yesterday late in the show, but we talked about it multiple times as like any injury happens and you're going to like Jack Leiter or Urena.
Sure.
And so like anything happens, you're depleted even more. I'm going to wait and see. Okay. I'm going to still wait and see whose spot he takes here. I just looked at his innings pitched over his career, and I guess the last couple of years have kind of been anomalies to what he's been over his career because most of his innings pitched were capping out at what, like 80?
Yes, and so there's some people who thought, because we played the no-hitter, after the no-hitter, I
was hoping you wouldn't do this, but
it's
true.
After the no-hitter, he fell off a cliff, and metaphorically, of course. And a lot of people believe that's because, as Corey, as you just brought up, he far surpassed the number of innings pitched he'd ever thrown. Like when he was a rookie, he was a starter, 113 innings. But Corey's right. After that, it was usually kind of hovering in the 80-ish range for a while. And then last year, he threw 153 innings. So by far the most innings that he had ever thrown. And so he really hit the skids. And so that's another thing that you have to consider is how long is it going to take him to ramp up? And then how many innings can you get from him this year?
Yeah, but I think the other part of it is I've said this avidly about Jordan Montgomery as you've been fired. You want Jordan Montgomery back. And I get it. I understand why. As a dude that was on your championship team, he was really good for you. But do I need him for the full season? I might not need Lorenzen for the full season.
That's a very fair point.
I might be like, dude, thank you for getting us to this point. Max Scherzer is back. He will take the hill. And you know what? Be ready just in case Max Scherzer, something else hops up. This is an old guy, an old pitcher who is very stubborn. Mike Scherzer is very stubborn, and it's a good stubborn. It's an aggressive, alpha competitor is what Mike Maddox kept saying last year. So but just keep up. Just be ready just in case we go back to you. Or if Lorenzen's having a great time in the run, as you've seen with Bruce Bochy, he will stick with whoever the hot one is. But if you're going good, I'll keep you around. But for injury purposes, this makes me feel a lot more comfortable. Even though we have like 1,000 injured pitchers already, it makes me feel more comfortable that we do have more reserves as we go along here.
So I did the quick math. Okay. After that no-hitter that he threw after being traded to Philadelphia, he threw 26 innings, and he gave up 26 runs. And then they took him out of the rotation.
The jeebers.
So that was 3 1/3, 7 runs. 5 2/3, 4 runs. 6 innings, 4 runs. 6 innings, 7 runs. 5 innings, 4 runs. And so then they said, it got to, for Philadelphia, they said at this point, we need to take you out of the rotation and move you to the pen. So I think this is an interesting signing. Here's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking you use Bradford and Lorenzen as a combination.
In the same game?
Yes.
Okay.
Is that you go, I need 18 outs from you guys. And we talked about this earlier with possibly doing it with a long reliever in your pen, whether it's possibly Jack Leiter or somebody else. But I'm looking at Lorenzen, and I think he's going to be a starter eventually. But I do think you have to look at his career over the last couple of years as a starter and the innings pitched and go, is it best to have a combo righty-lefty situation where they have to pick up 18 outs? Now, the tough thing is you can't just use one reliever every fifth day. You just use your relief, your relievers so much that to say this reliever's only pitching every fifth day 2 to 4 innings, that's impossible to do. So you have to pick your spots and choose, because you're going to need that guy in between that every fifth day to give you another appearance.
Okay, I'm hoping that you can walk everybody through this real quick. And I understand, and I know Corey understands. We've talked about this a lot, but people listening right now, they signed Michael Lorenzen. We heard about it early this morning.
Right.
Maybe you heard about it late last night.
1:52 a.m. It's like, when did this happen? And I think I saw the ESPN report at 1:52 a.m. is when they reported it.
But people,
Chris Young grinding.
But people are thinking the season starts in a week. He wouldn't pitch until the 5th day theoretically.
Right.
Why do you keep saying whenever he's ready? Can you walk people through the idea of he can't start tomorrow?
Usually your arm's going to be sore after facing real competition. So that's in whether it's, even if it's in inter squad, a B game situation, or in a, AAA game that's not on the big field with thousands of people. Your buildup is usually this: when you're ready to pitch in a game, 30 pitches, 2 innings, then 3 innings, 45 pitches. That's 3 days later. So you take 3 days off.
Okay.
Then you're on after you throw 3 innings, now they want to put you on every 5th day. Because the next time is 4 innings, 65 pitches. The next time is 5 innings, 75 to 80 pitches. And then you should be good to go 6 innings or 100 pitches. Okay. And then you're ready for the season.
Yep.
Are they going to do that with Michael Lorenzen? I think they're going to be careful and maybe push him a little bit. Maybe the first time out he's been throwing pens and you're like, you know what? First time out, we're going to go already with 3 innings, 45 pitches. And that would be, I'm just throwing out a date. March 25th. Like, I don't know if he's going to be ready to do it this quick. He has to make sure he passes his physical and everything like that. Maybe that's already been done. But I'm assuming if he's in Arizona today, he's having to pass his physical, make sure everything's good there, and then he can start his throwing program with the Rangers. I know he's been throwing bullpens himself, but there's no way in any sport to simulate the same competition, the same energy you're going to use. How much time did we hear Ezekiel Elliott's running really good in Mexico, in Cancun, and then we saw him run in a real game? You're like, it doesn't look like he's been practicing too much.
Yeah.
And he probably was practicing. There's just no way to get the same energy out of doing it on your own or practicing against your high school or a local college team. So I would assume that time usually takes from about February 20th to March 25th. That's how much it takes a starting pitcher to be ready for a season. I don't think it's going to take him that long because they'll probably push him a little bit. And maybe they're like, we don't need him ready for 80 pitches and 100. Maybe we just need him ready to start off at 60 pitches in the major leagues.
Could you argue, and I might argue this, I'm not saying the Rangers would do this, is that you wouldn't see him until April 11th? Because if you look at the beginning of the schedule, you have a day off the second day. You have another day off the next week. If you decided you just wanted to use 4 pitchers,
you're going to kill Evaldi.
You think so?
Yeah.
Even on regular rest?
Yeah. I think he needs the extra days.
Okay.
Last year he missed almost the whole second half of the season.
And you think that's
he's been an
injury-prone
pitcher, and I just think that these extra days, I just don't think you push it in April. Now you get to August, September, and I'm just throwing this out. You're 5 games back of a wild card spot, or you're 5 games back of the division. You're like, we got to push it here. We got to
all hands on deck.
It's like, if we don't push it, we're not going to make the playoffs. So if we, and I'm not, this is too strong of a word. If we kill somebody, if somebody's arm fatigues and they have nothing left September 15th through the 30th, I'm like, hey, we had to. If we didn't try it, we weren't going to make it anyways. That was kind of the Nate Evaldi coming back without rehabbing at all. Right. They're like, screw it. If we don't start winning, we're not going to make the playoffs anyways. Just throw them up in the major league. So I just think April, with Evaldi's history, with John Gray's history, I just think you have to watch how many innings you pitch him in the month of April.
And people are asking, but are you sure he gets one of the 5 starting spots? I think we're going off of what some of our folks have been telling us is they made this signing for him to be a starter. Now, to your point about could he eventually go back to being a reliever when the troops come in, I'm not disputing that at all. But do you not understand it the way I do, is that this signing was made for him to be the 5th starter?
Yes. I mean, I understand it for the time being. You going in, I mean,
Fair.
and hell, if you're going to sit back and honestly look at this team right now and say, what's our biggest weakness? Which I think is an important question to ask yourself before you go into a season. If you go into a season, you're like, no, we're perfect. You're wrong. You got to know it. But I could also see like Chris Young is sitting there going, hey, I got to figure out how to convince Ray Davis of the pieces I need to add to this. But if you were looking at it, Kevin, and saying starting pitching is your biggest weakness. We did what we could for the bullpen, but starting pitching won't be there to start the season, then absolutely I see it your way.
Now, he had a really good season last year, and I'm sure we'll talk about him more leading into the season. He had a good season last year outside of, we talked about post no-hitter. He really fell off. He is a bit of an anomaly from the Rangers strategy. He doesn't get a lot of swings and misses.
Right.
And I know that has been, especially a push in the minor leagues, something that they've really been going after. So something to keep an eye on. He depends on a good defense behind him. Good news, we all feel as though the Rangers do put a good defense behind him, do we not?
Absolutely they do.
And
man.
so there's definitely some positives. And if it works out, it's a $7 million max. And so if he can give you...
You're hoping to get $7 million.
Yes, of course.
Because he gets all of his incentives, and
Yeah.
that would be awesome.
When the Yankees opened up conversations again with Montgomery, that had to have had a definite effect on this, right?
I don't know this. I just wonder, as we're getting close to the end of spring training, the last outings from Urena, from
Haven't been.
Sampson,
Okay.
and from Bradford might have said, hey, maybe we're not going to go down the Montgomery path. And I think this Michael Lorenzen situation totally shuts down
I do
Jordan
too.
Montgomery. Like
That's where I am.
I think even if there's a 1% hope, I think it's now 0.
Yeah.
Is they said, with what we're seeing here, getting close to the end of spring training, let's go get another guy who can give us, you're hoping, 2 to 6 innings when he goes out there. And when I mean 2 is if there was we're going to build upon Bradford and Lorenzen sharing a game.